puts me from my winter hell. I've got candles and candy, I can be your daddy if you only let me creep into your prison cell. Hey baby, can you tell I'm not a criminal? Your choice is seminal. I want you to stay true to what's right for you. No matter who or know what will others say, just find your way and try to stay true. Just speak low, stand in your row, try not to show this life's a show. Try not to glow way down below. Oh, it's a lot of woe, and that's not a place where you would like to go. I've got cigarettes and brandy, which could come in handy if you just help me loosen up my hand grenades fuse. Baby, don't refuse my truth, but it's up to you now to choose. I want you to stay true to what's right for you. No matter who or know what will others say, just find your way and try to stay true. I want you to stay true to what's right for you. No matter who or know what will others say, just find your way and try to stay true, true,
Hey, what's going on? How are you guys? I hope everybody's doing well. Mike. Guess what day it is? Hump day. And it is my oldest son's birthday. I have a 30-year-old child. Can you even believe that? Also, I spent all year of 2025 thinking that I was 47 years old, when in actuality I'm 48 years old and I will be 49 this next year. Yeah, that was kind of a, well, I did the math because I had my oldest son when I was 18 and I was like, well, how can I be 47 if he's 30? And then it hit me. You're not, idiot. You're 48. So yeah, there's that. Oh, will you, Kelly? You got to let me know when it's your birthday so I can sing to you. All right, you guys ready to do this? Let's do it. Let's finish this for part 1, which for us is part 2, but let's see. Okay, so we're doing her 2020 parole hearing, okay? And it's the 21st. All right. I'm going to remember that. Let me write it down. I say I'm going to remember that. I know me. Let me write that down. Please hold while I write this down because this is important. You guys are always here for me. You guys are very supportive of me, and I appreciate that so much. I'm writing it right now. Kelly B-Day, November 21st. Okay. Also, you guys might be a little confused if you're keeping up with the Letitia stuff. So, for some reason, Allie and I, we got all of those calls from the beginning of 2022. Okay, February 2022 is when Letitia changed her plea from not guilty to not guilty by reason of insanity, and then just almost a year, well, a little over a year later, then she went to trial with that BS. Anywho, so for whatever reason, when I was going through and fixing the playlist, and I put them, by the way, if you missed my post, the playlist on the homepage, which has all of the playlists, are in chronological order for Letitia. If you click on the playlist on the home tab that says Letitia, Stauk body cams, and phone calls, those are in chronological order from when they happened. So they start with the body cams in 2019, all the calls from 2020, the video visits and calls from 2021 into 2022, and then the prison calls from 2025. But for whatever reason, there is a call in there from March of 2022 that I privated for some reason, and I think I had to edit something out, and then I just forgot to make it public again or something. I don't know what I did. Who knows? But I listened to it today just to listen, see if there was anything that needed to be edited out. But yeah, so I made that public again, so it's not new, but just in case you guys need something to listen to, and you want to relive Tisha, it's all there in chronological order. All right, so there's that. We need to do a members only live, but I'm just not sure when is a good time to do that. Maybe this weekend. I have the Nuggie all weekend. So I have to schedule around her. And I found the coolest show on Netflix for her, so I can't wait to show it to her. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. Thank you guys all very, very much for being here. If you haven't done so already, hey, give your girl a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. Also, I need to be telling you guys something else. So you can hype the video as well. After the live ends, if where you can, you see the comments, if you scroll, I think one time more is the live chat. One time more is the hype. If you guys wouldn't mind doing me a favor and hyping the video, I would really, really appreciate it. I'm not exactly sure what it does, but all the big YouTubers are have in their videos about asking their subscribers to, I've seen people that watch it to subscribe, like, and hype the video. And if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for me. So hype the video if you wouldn't mind. All right, you ready to get started? Let's go.
Doing before.
Thank you, Board Member Shu. That's all I have.
Board Member Lowry.
Uh-oh, we lost him.
I'm back. Can you hear me, Ms. Downs?
I can hear you. There you go. I got this whole big black thing here, and so you're really little, but I can see you. So if I am not looking into the camera.
Nobody cares, Diane.
You're right there, so.
Okay, that's just fine. We're used to that at this point. Okay.
Let's just get on with it.
Some I guess I want to push back a little bit on something that you just talked about with board member Taylor. He said, why didn't you take any programs during this 12-year period of time? And you
She's going to get spicy. She does not like the females on the parole board. So just know it's about to get spicy. All right, here we go.
said there were no programs offered. I didn't take any programs because there were no programs. Then you explained to us how all the programs were created by all of the adults in custody and really cobbled it together. So I want to read something to you from the institutional report and then kind of talk about it a little bit. So institutional report, page 72 of the board packet, says Ms. Downs' escape history has been severe during her 36-year incarceration. Ms. Downs has physically escaped from a secure perimeter fence, planned 3 escape attempts, and was found in possession of an escape device. Due to this behavior, she has extended periods of special housing placement and was therefore ineligible to participate in programming. In August 1993, Ms. Downs was transferred to California and placed in their maximum special housing unit. She received 3 major disciplinary actions while housed in SHU. As a result of her special housing assignment, she was not able to participate in programming or work assignments. From 1996 to 2008, Ms. Downs had not participated in any educational, vocational, self-help, or clubs while in general population, even though program availability options included NAAA, parenting, education, substance abuse classes, meditation classes, meditation classes, anger management, vocational programs. Ms. Downs also received 3 disciplinary sanctions during these years. At times, Ms. Downs refused to appear for these program reviews. And then it follows up with during a telephonic interview in 2008, she was questioned about her program and work history. Ms. Downs expressed that she has not taken any programs because, quote, there was no benefit to me. Ms. Downs says she reads and studies politics and human nature. Ms. Downs said, quote, if the parole board had wanted me to take programs, they should have stated that earlier. Ms. Downs also reported that Oregon law guidelines do not show that programs are necessary to satisfy the parole board. She further added, if I was in Oregon, this would not be required of me. So my read of that is not, there were no programs offered. I didn't take any because there were no. It seems to me that you weren't eligible for programs due to your own behavior and choices for an extended period of time, and that, frankly, you didn't seem interested in taking them. You didn't have to impress the parole board by taking them. You didn't think it wasn't required of you. It seemed like you had no internal driver to want to engage in reform. So my ultimate question after all of that preamble is, when did you really start willfully engaging in programming and reformation activities? When did your attitude change?
Okay, so first of all, Greta has brought the receipts, which is Diane Downs' jacket of her conduct while being housed. So this is why Diane is now in California, okay? Because she tried to escape from Oregon. She tried to escape and did escape. And we're going to hear more about her escape attempt, why she says she escaped. I'll tell you why I believe she escaped. And now Miss Downs is going to answer. She does not like the women. I'm telling you right now, she's going to get quite a spicy. Here we go.
I was close A, custody, close A, up until the year 2000. Uh-oh, she's gone. Can she hear me? Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, you're gone. That's why I'm asking. I was close A custody up until the year 2000. As close A custody, I was confined to the yard. All the vocational classes were behind work change. I don't know how to describe it except every yard has a gate on both ends. In order to go to vocational classes and different programs, you have to go through the work change. I can't. Closed custody can't go back there. So I literally did not have access to them. There was nothing that I could do, even if I requested it. In fact, I did request. I was escorted by an officer to go see one of the teachers back there, and she says as soon as you get off close A custody, then you can come back here. So I literally couldn't. I don't care what the report says. I couldn't. Up until the year 2000, I couldn't. As far as the other AA and NA, they were on the other side of the gate, also closed custody. They're at nighttime. Closed custody, close A, cannot leave your cell after 4 p.m. This is where, this is not like this anymore, but back in the day, when this was all happening, I could not leave my cell after 4 o'clock count, 4:30 count. I could go to chow and had to come back. So all the programs that they offered were on the East Gate, over in visiting at 7 p.m. I could not go, or it was during the day on the West Gate on the other side of work change, and I could not go. I literally could not take any classes. You can check with the warden back in the day, but that's really the truth. The classes that we began teaching each other started in, you asked when I became involved with programs. The classes we started teaching each other were probably, I was in D1 during the honor dorm period, so that was about 2005. But they were classes that you didn't get a chrono, so you don't have anything in your file. They weren't taught by psychiatrists or psychologists. Those classes didn't begin until 2000, we didn't even have classes then. Really, we didn't have staff-sponsored classes up until about 2015, 14. That's when we started having staff-sponsored classes. So I became close B custody in the year 2000. And I was able to go through work change. But by that time, the reason they took me off close A custody is because they needed me to be a clerk. So as a clerk, I was locked in for 2 years as a clerk, and I couldn't take any vocational classes because institutional need. There you go.
Okay, so you just said, I don't care what the report says. So is it?
Objection, non-responsive. Look, here's she asked you what changed. Why did you change your mind? What made you decide all of a sudden now you would like to to start taking the classes, right? And start participating. And here comes Diane. It's not my fault. I think I might have a video about that. Hold on just 1 second. Let me look here. Here it is, right here. Fault. It's never Diane's fault. It's everybody else's fault. Everybody else's fault. And all she had to do was say, I made bad choices. She likes to use the phrase back in the day. Back in the day, I made bad choices. And then you know what? I realized those choices were getting me absolutely nowhere. So I decided to participate. But instead, that's not what she said. She went on this long ramble, and Greta ain't having it. Here we go.
Your, opinion that the institutional report that we got is inaccurate as to your programming history and your attitude?
My attitude was probably frustrated because I was trying to explain something to somebody that wasn't understanding how it works here in Oregon, here in California, and that she kept trying to make me comply with her view of what just wasn't real. I mean, I explained to you about the gates, closed custody, but it's nothing that, if you're not here, it's harder for you to visualize it. And I was frustrated. This is before my programming. This is before my classes. This is before I learned how to deal with my frustration. So now I took the time to explain all the procedures to you. Back then, I didn't.
Thank you. Mr. Bailey.
Thank you. Ms. Downs, you talked a little bit about the criminal thinking programming that you engaged in and what you got out of that programming. And my question for you is, what did you learn about your own criminal thinking from some of your own decisions that have been negative or have resulted in trouble for you? What did you learn about your own thinking? What was the thinking that was driving some of those decisions for yourself?
Wow. I guess minimizing. I know that's the word you guys use a lot, but it's something that we also use. If you were to try to use an example, taking stuff out of the chow hall, that's so minimizing. Trying to make something that seems small in my own life. I had wooden shelves in my locker. That's not legal. But it organized everything. And so I was able to say, yes, but when they search my cell, everything is organized, and so therefore it makes it easier for them. So justifying. It seems ridiculous to you, but the shelves were illegal. They came and did a big search. They took my shelves because they were illegal. I was annoyed by that. And at the same time, I immediately, because I'd already taken the class, I said, well, they weren't your shelves to begin with. They were illegal. And so, as far as I didn't think I had criminal thinking. Everybody does. Everybody does. Trust me, if you took the class, you would know. Everybody, little things like calling during work is criminal thinking. You're stealing from your boss. And so what I learned about myself is that I was able, before the class, I was able to justify little things because it didn't really affect anybody. The shelves didn't hurt anybody. The shelves helped staff. I justified it. The shelves helped staff during searches. That's how I viewed it. Now, I don't have shelves. Everything's just all piled in there, which makes it harder for the staff when they search, but it's legal now. So I would say, as far as my own criminal thinking, I no longer think that little things don't matter. Everything matters. Everything. Because 2 or 3 or 4 little things become a big thing. And pretty soon it's a pattern. It's a behavior. And it's like, it's always okay to take something out of the chow hall. It's always okay to run out the front door just to go say hi to a friend, even though you're not supposed to walk out the front door. That's all criminal thinking. And so it made me more aware that some of the things that I did that I thought were silly, they're not. There's a reason that you're not supposed to do them. Whether you like it or not, there's a reason for it. If everybody ran out the front door just to go say hi to a friend, people get shanked, staff lose control, there's a riot on the yard and they don't understand what happened. So there's a reason for rules, and there's a reason no matter how silly you think they are.
Well, that's it, y'all. Let's let her out. She's learned that no more wooden shelves. Sorry, I got yelly. I apologize for that. Aw, Cuffy, that's so sweet. Yeah, let her out, you guys. She's learned her lesson clearly. Even though she's salty as hell and had to throw in a dig at the end, it would make it easier on the staff, but they don't care because wooden shelves are illegal. Diane, I think they're wanting to know about your actual crime.
So there you go.
Okay, thank you. That was the only question I had. I'll turn it back over to Chair Shu.
Ms. Downs, let's talk about your work history. Looks like, at least from the report that we got, your current job is plant operations, maintenance, and repair.
We're going to skip this part, you guys. This doesn't have anything to really do with anything. Let's get over to here. Hold on a minute. Let's go to right here and see what's going on here. All right, hold on. Let me rewind it just a little bit. Let's get context. Oh, he's asking about violations. All right, hold on. She's excellent at digging ditches, y'all. Let's let her out.
I was a ditch digger. So,
All right, thank you. Ms. Kress, do you have any questions about employment history?
No questions on this topic, thank you.
Mr. Taylor?
No questions on this topic, thank you.
Ms. Lowry?
Here comes Miss
No
Lowry.
questions, thank you.
Mr. Bailey?
No questions on this topic for me either.
Okay. Ms. Downs, before we get to the psychological evaluation, I do
Also, I'm going to speed them up to 1.25. It shouldn't have any effect, but it does, like, it doesn't mess up their speech, but it does, make this go a little bit faster. So, here we go. Oh, it would be helpful if I push play. My bad.
want to take some time to talk about your disciplinary history and violation record while you've been in several institutions. I don't
All right, hold on. We need something for this. Hold on, because it's about to go. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I need to get the sound clips for that. All right, here we go.
don't see any violations since 2006, so I do want to commend you for that. I will say, in your violation history, the thing that stands out most to me is your escape attempts. So can you tell me how many attempts you've made to escape various institutions?
1. And it wasn't an attempt. I escaped. 1987, July 11th, 1987.
All right, 1987, and that was the Oregon Women's Correctional Center.
Yes.
Can you tell us what was your thinking at the time that allowed you to escape from the Oregon Women's Correctional Center?
Yes. I had just gotten my appeal back from the Court of Appeals, and they denied. They AWOP'd me, affirmed without opinion. They didn't give a reason. I just lost without a reason. My attorney, Howard Collins, said, "Well, that's it. Your appeal's over. We're done." I didn't know that I had another level. I was very, very inexperienced. I didn't know I could go on to the next level of appeal. And so at the very same time, there was somebody that said that they found a suspect in my case, and that person had talked to Lane County, and Lane County said, "Case closed. We're not interested in finding him." And so since I had lost my appeal, I had no more hope. The only hope that I had was in finding the person who committed the crime. And so in order to understand the mind of an escapee,
before she goes into understanding the mind of an escapee, I want to thank Neat Noodle for gifting a membership. Thank you, babe. I appreciate that. And Cuthie, congratulations. You're the one who got it. Yay. Welcome to the ward. All right, here we go.
you really have to live inside prison. You can imagine what it's like on the outside, but a person doesn't escape from prison unless they're willing to die doing it. Prison has to be the situation, it doesn't have to be prison. The situation that they're in has to be so terrible that they would rather be dead than continue as they are. Because you could get shot going over the fence. It's the same reason that women stay with abusers for so long. They have to reach a point of rather being dead, fleeing from him. And that's where I was. I was at the point that I didn't even care if I got shot going over the fence. That's how bad it was. And I've never felt that way. I've never felt that desperate or hurt or alone again. I just haven't.
Okay, and Ms. Downs, you said that's been your only escape?
Yes.
So your history shows that you've attempted to escape several other times. So I want to ask you about your 1989 disciplinary action for attempt or planning to escape from the New Jersey Department of Corrections. Can you explain to me why you received that disciplinary action?
1989, a man named Robert Seaver came to visit me. He wanted to marry me. I didn't want to marry him. His friend wanted me to sign a contract with Motown Pictures for a movie. I don't want a movie made. I don't want anything to do with the media. I didn't want a book made. He wanted me to sign a contract. I wouldn't. So he wanted to marry me so that he could sell my contract as my husband. I said, no, I don't want a movie made. I don't want anything to do with the media. So he called his friend. His friend, he came back, and I know this because he said it in the visit. He said, my friend says that I've been ordered home and it's over. If you don't marry me today, it's out of my hands. I said, I'm not going to marry you. He walked out, went straight to investigative services. I don't remember what they called it back there. They call it ISU here. He went to investigative services, said I was planning to escape. They came, cuffed me up, took me to ADSEG, told me that I was planning to escape. I said I wasn't. They said, he said. I said, make him take a polygraph because I'm not. I'm going to court. This was in May of 89. I was going to court. I was on the calendar to go to court in September of 89 for my post-conviction relief hearing. Being on the outside of the fence would not have allowed me to go to court and have my name cleared. It was more important to me back then to have my name cleared. Not so much anymore. Not worried about it. But he went to ISU. I told ISU, do a polygraph. He did a polygraph. He failed the polygraph. He was lying. But I was already in ADSEG, and it was convenient for them, so they convicted me. They brought the prosecutor in. They took me out of my cell one day, put me in a room like this with a phone, and it was the district attorney for that county. He asked me a bunch of questions about the escape. I answered his questions. I sat in the room for a minute, didn't know if they knew that I was done because there was nobody like an officer sitting with me. So I got up, opened the door, walked into the hall, and heard the same man that I'd been on the phone with. I heard his voice, and I looked to my left. He was at the officer's cage. He had been using their phone in-house to talk to me, and I heard him tell the warden, this woman is not planning to escape. I have no reason to prosecute her. You've given me no reason to believe she's planning to escape. I thought to myself, great, this is over. That's why the prosecutor did not charge me with escape in New Jersey, because I wasn't. He had no evidence that I was. They took me back to ADSEG, and I did hear in ADSEG. I was found guilty of planning to escape, even though Robert Seaver failed the polygraph, and even though the district attorney said, you have no reason to believe that she's planning to escape, and neither do I. There you go. I can't tell you why that's on my record, but it's definitely been a blight. It has.
So are you saying Mr. Seaver planned it all by himself, or did he get help from you in planning the escape?
He wasn't planning to escape either. He was planning to make some money selling the escape story. He took the escape story back and he gave it to his friend John Stevens, and John Stevens sold the story for $10,000.
Because the record says Mr. Seaver turned over numerous items, including tapes, letters, and transcripts Ms. Downs had given him via the mail, wanting him to purchase in preparation for an escape. Is that not true?
That is not true. And that tape recording, I hope somebody still has that tape recording because I really want to do a voice analysis. That's whatever tape recording. They never gave me a tape recording. I have no idea what's on the tape recording, but it certainly isn't me on the tape recording.
Okay. And let's move on and talk about your 91 disciplinary action for attempt or planned escape, also in New Jersey. Looks like a cell search. They found an altered light blue jumpsuit, assorted buttons, 3 yards of black fabric, black pouch or purse that was fashioned out of black fabric using a cardboard type material. Can you explain to us what that disciplinary action was about from your perspective?
It was all lies, 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 lies. Thank you, Cuffy, for gifting a membership. I appreciate that, babe. Let me see who got it. Let me see, where's it at? I lost it. Shamina got it. Congratulations. Welcome to the ward. Yeah, it's all lies. She had all the things, outfits, all the things, rope. But no, this was lies. She needs a voice analysis.
I was charged with possessing a light blue denim fabric and black purse all of which was legal. They came through the visiting center. Again, you'd have to be in New Jersey. It's not anything like Oregon. Trust and believe, New Jersey's nothing like Oregon. But all those things came through the visiting center. I received them. I'd had them for 2 years. And they used that light blue denim material and said that I was going to make a navy blue polyester officer's uniform. There's no way to do that. It's inconceivable that light blue denim, as written in the 115 or DR, is going to ever turn into navy blue polyester. And it was a jumpsuit. It was a little bitty jumpsuit. The officers wear long pants that go down to their ankles. The jumpsuit was was thigh high. It was a one-piece jumpsuit from the shoulder to the thighs. But if you hadn't been there, if you hadn't seen it, you put it in my record, and there it is forever, and it looks legitimate, but it's not. It's just not.
Okay, and then there was another incident from '94, I believe, this time in California. Search of your cell revealed mortar and caulking from the area around the cell window had been peeled or chipped away. Do you recall that incident?
Oh, yes, I do, because I was in ADSEG. I was moved from cell to, because of the escape and the alleged attempted escapes, they moved me from cell to cell every 3 months. Officer Molina took me to a cell on the upper tier, and the first thing that we do when we go in a cell is inspect it for repairs, what needs to be done. Does the sink work? Does the toilet work? Does the light work? Well, as I'm standing there and she's uncuffing me through the food port, I said, Molina, there's caulking missing from this window. She said, what? And so she cuffed me back up, pulled me out. She went and looked at it, and she goes, all right. So she made a work order, and she wrote it in red because it was a window. She sent the work order in. Nobody ever came to fix it, but she put a copy of the work order in a file right by the officer's, by the sergeant's door. An officer came in about 2 months later, and when he pulled me out for shower, they searched the cell, and he saw the caulking. So he wrote me a DR for planning for, actually he didn't write it for planning to escape. He wrote it for removing caulking from the window. I don't think he wrote it planning an escape. I think it was just damaging state property. I honestly can't remember what he wrote it for. And I was found guilty. I appealed it all the way to Sacramento. Because I asked him, go get the report. It's right in that box right there. It's literally 6 feet away. Go get the report. You're going to see that Molina wrote that down. I didn't do it. I didn't damage the window. Molina saw that it was there. She put in a work order. He said, I don't have to. And he didn't. That was the sergeant. I can't remember his name. It's on the report. So I appealed it to Sacramento. Sacramento overturned it because there was evidence that he refused to take into consideration. They sent it back. A lieutenant heard me. The lieutenant said, what is this about? I told him exactly what I just told you. He said, where's this report? I said, right there in that box. He goes, sit here. He didn't even have to leave my sight. He walked over to it's a box, like a file cabinet on wheels. Walked over, pulled it out. He goes, this is in red. How did he miss this in red? I said, he didn't look at it. He goes, not guilty. Well, they're supposed to remove that from your file when you're found not guilty. Apparently they haven't. So there you go. That's that story. He did write a 128. He included the 128. It's somewhere, it was 1 year later. It was 9 months. It took 9 months to get that far. So if that was in March, it would be 9 months later. There's a 128 in there, which is an informational chrono that said that 115 was removed from my file. It's in there somewhere. And I know that because the 2008 board and I had the same discussion. And the 2008 board, Miss Baker, leafed through and she said, oh yes, here it is. So I know it's in there somewhere. I don't know where, but Miss Baker found it. So it's there somewhere.
So, Ms. Downs, let me ask you this. In the 4 instances that you were documented as escaping or attempting to escape, and I've heard your version of it, but my question for you is, do you think through those instances, do you think you exhibited criminal thinking?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. With my escape? Oh, yeah.
What about the 89 incident with Mr. Seaver?
Criminal thinking with Mr. Seaver. No.
Okay. And what about the other incident in New Jersey and the incident in California?
91? No, because everything I possessed was something that I was allowed to possess. We were allowed to change our clothing. I really wish you knew how things were in New Jersey. If my mom wanted to bring a pot roast in a pan, she would bring it to the visiting center and they would bring it to me. If she wanted to bring me a needle and thread and material, I could make anything that I wanted. It was just done. It was allowed. That's what you were allowed to do. So no criminal thinking. In 1994, when I with the destroyed caulking, definitely no, because I told Molina immediately. I didn't wait around, see if my head would fit through the window, which, by the way, your head won't fit through that window. I don't care if you took all the caulking out. The window is 3 inches wide, so nobody's head is going to fit through that. So as soon as I saw the caulking, the handcuffs weren't even off me. I said, Molina, there's caulking in this window that's missing a big old chunk of it. And she pulled me out, looked at it. So no, it wasn't even like I waited to see, if I could do anything. No, so no.
Okay. Those are all the questions I have for you about your disciplinary actions. Let me ask the board members if they have any questions for you. Ms. Ress?
No questions, thank you.
Mr. Taylor?
The only comment I have or question is, in 2006, it was reported that for a 20-day period, you refused to report to your work assignment. And although it wasn't written up as a DR per se, can you explain to the board your reasoning for not reporting?
Yes. You're Mr. Taylor, so you're not the one who manages prisons. There's another man who manages prisons.
No, that's not me.
Okay, you need to talk to him, because I'm going to tell you some things about prison that are pretty nasty. I worked in the watch office, and there were 2 other clerks in there that worked with, actually 1 clerk and 1 porter. I worked for the captain. The lieutenant's clerk, the watch commander's clerk, wanted her girlfriend to work there. The only way that she could get her girlfriend to work there is if I quit. So I asked the watch commander if I could quit. He said no. I said, your clerk wants her girlfriend in here. He goes, I know that. I said, I need to quit because she wants her girlfriend. No. So they brought up a bully up there every single day to sit in there and harass me. Every single day. All day long. To sit. Because the clerk's office isn't.
Once again, she didn't show it for work, refused to show it for her work, but it is not her fault. There was a bully.
In the watch office, it's in the program office. So she would sneak in the back door and sit there all day long. And nobody ever bothered the clerks. Nobody ever came to check the clerks because we had a phone. If you need the clerk, you get on the phone and say, I need you in my office. So it was just her, me, her bully. That wasn't even her girlfriend. Her bully and the porter. The porter would leave because the porter didn't want to have anything to do with it. All day long. This went on for 2 weeks. And I told the watch commander, I cannot be in this job. Tough. So I decided it was worth a 115 just not to show up for work. It was either that or eventually, the bully was eventually going to, because the bully was a stud rod. And by my not backing down, I was challenging her stud license. And this girl has some serious criminal thinking. I wish you knew her. Serious criminal thinking in this one. If it eventually starts to feel like this femme is making her look bad, she will turn to violence. She had a long history of violence. And so I decided I was either going to get beat up or have to beat somebody up or refuse to work. Either way, I was going to get a DR. So I took the higher road and didn't go to work. So I didn't go to work for 2 weeks. That's how unimportant my job was. I didn't go to work for 2 weeks. And so finally the CO, the correctional officer that worked for the watch commander, or the sergeant actually, he was directly under the sergeant, came to my cell one day and said, Downs, what's really going on? I said, and I explained it to him. He goes, yeah, I know, we've been watching. Well, you didn't do anything about it. He goes, well, we want to see what you would do. I said, well, this is what I'm doing. Give me a 115. He goes, I'm not going to write you a 115. You're being threatened, but I'm going to have to unassign you. And somebody else wrote the 115 anyway. So there you go. That's why I didn't go to work. And before that, my last 115 was 1998, or DR. You guys call them DRs. Was 1998. So.
Thank you, Board Chair. Thank you, Ms. Downs.
Ms. Lowry?
You're welcome.
No questions on discipline.
Mr. Bailey?
No questions for me on this topic either. Thank you.
Okay, Ms. Downs, before we move on to talk about the psychological report, and there will be a lot to talk about with the report, I just want to make sure that I take regular breaks so that everybody can have a chance to stretch their legs, get some water, or use the restroom if they need to. So
All right, they're going to take a break and we're going to go get part 2. Hang on just a second. Let's see. Let me get it for you guys really quick. So, how do you think it's going for old Diane Downs so far? You think she's you think they're going to give her parole? Oh my God. Where is it? Shit. Hold on a second. Here we go. Now we're going to get into the fantastical story. So hold on a second. All right, here we go. All right, give me just 1 second to pull this up for you guys. All right, here we go.
before we proceed, let me check. Ms. Kress, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. And I see that Ms. Lowry, Mr. Taylor, and Mr. Bailey are also with us as well. And Ms. Downs, welcome back.
Thank you.
Just so you guys know, cuff you, I can see you, babe. And Lil D, I can see you too. Hi. Good to see you guys. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it. I see Coffee and Skeletons. I see Patricia Burns. Hello, hello, hello. I also see the Pretend Judge. Hello. Hi. I see you guys. I just try not to pause too much or pause at good times so it's, you guys can hear it.
Ms. Downs, let's talk about the psychological evaluation. First, let me ask, how much time did you spend speaking with Dr. Guyton?
Before we hear her answer, Edith, thank you very much. Welcome to the ward. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for supporting me.
8 hours.
Oh, wow.
Oh, 8 hours. That's hardly anything.
And how did you feel about her report?
Well, I don't know. I guess I was disappointed.
Why were you disappointed?
I guess it confused me more than disappointed me. All through the report, she kept saying low risk, low risk, low risk, and then she would say, "But I'm not safe," or something to that effect. I don't want to take her words out of context, but it confused me because she kept saying there's no evidence of threats, no evidence of violence, no evidence of anger. So not violence, not present, low risk. Anger out of control, not present, low risk. And then she goes on to say that I need to be under supervision when I get out of prison, psychiatric supervision. And I guess I just didn't understand.
Okay. I think she's saying that using a structured risk assessment methodology, because you have the one documented incident of violence, overall, she says your risk of violence is low, but there are still issues with you in regards to your personality that could make you a general risk to the community. Does that seem like a fair summary of the report?
For me?
Yeah.
Oh, because you're looking up. I don't know if she's
I'm
on the
sorry.
screen up there.
So the camera's right here in front of me, but the screen is up and to the right. So if it looks like I'm looking away, it's because I'm trying to look at the screen, but
Okay.
also look at the camera.
Okay, yes, I would say that that's a good thumbnail of what I read.
Okay, and so she did have
And-
some concerns about you. And I think how this will work is I will read to you some findings that she made, and then I'll ask to see if you agree with them or if you'd like to comment on them, okay?
Okay.
So she writes, overall, Ms. Downs presented as a glib, self-involved individual who told many stories that highlighted her importance and were unlikely to be true. Do you think there's any truth to that statement?
No. Well, if she perceived me to be glib, then that's her observation. I didn't tell stories that are unlikely to be true. I've addressed most of those in a letter. You referred to the letter. It's on file there. So I addressed all the concerns that I had with her report. Not all of them. Yeah, most of them. Yeah. In a letter that was for this board. I think it was on the 18th or the 23rd, something like that. It was a letter. I've got it here. But anyway, I addressed those in the report with you. I don't tell stories that aren't true. I try to only tell stories that I can prove with another document. Sometimes I can't because I didn't know that the subject was going to come up. I suppose in time, God forbid that there should be more time that an attorney would have to go get those documents, then I suppose that's what would end up happening. At this point, I really hope it doesn't come to that because it just means more time. But no, I take exception to her saying that I make things up that are not true, that are unlikely to be true.
Okay. Can I ask you about, did you write a letter to the FBI recently?
Absolutely.
Can you
Yes, I
tell us?
did.
Can you tell us what that was about?
In 1987, after my escape, somebody contacted me and said that they wanted me to sign a movie deal for Motown. I refused. That person then sent Robert Sieber to visit me in New Jersey. I refused. After that, somebody wrote to me from Germany. Eric Jacobson wrote to me from Germany, claimed to be a secret code breaker at Ramstein Air Force Base in Germany. I dismissed this person, not true. Michael Hart wrote to me, nutcase, dismissed this person, not true. Everybody who writes to me has an agenda. Everybody who writes to me says they have information that they don't give to the police. They give it to me. What am I supposed to do with it in prison? So I have continued to try to decipher and sift through this information with what limited resources, which is none, that I have in here. And all I can do is remember these things. In 2004, a woman moved into my cell named Julie Mayo. I received another letter from Michael Hart. Michael Hart sent a picture. I showed the girls in my cell. Julie Mayo says, "Oh, he's a wonderful looking man. I think you should write to him." It turns out that this man, Michael Hart, is her son, Frank. Frank was one of the people that wanted me to sign a movie contract for Motown in 1987. This is all information that comes in over the years, slowly rolling in. Years pass. All of a sudden, in 2010, the parole board, I received a threat that if the parole board paroled me, that they would be in trouble. He would make trouble for them if the parole board paroled me. I sent that letter, I gave that letter to the Investigative Services Unit and said, please let the parole board know. I don't want them to be caught off guard. I don't want them to be in danger. I assume that they did send that to you, and if they did, not you, your predecessors. And if they didn't send to your predecessors, then maybe they also received a threat, because that was a very strange parole board hearing. They were in assistance. They were in attendance by the state police. And I mean literally right next to the table, so that when Miss Baker stood up, a hand reached into the camera, took her elbow, and leaned in to lift her up. The person that leaned into the camera was a captain from the state police. I recognized him because he's the one who transported me from Salem here back in 1993. So they felt that they had been threatened. Maybe by the letter that I sent them that I had received, maybe a threat of their own. I don't know which it was. This is more information. For 10 years, I don't hear anything from this Michael Hart. Now, here we are on the eve of a parole board hearing, and all of a sudden Michael Hart pops up again and says, he and I need to be friends, and remember when we used to write? No, we didn't used to write. Remember when we did this? No, we never did this. You're making this all up. And I know that you're Julie Mayo's son, and I know you're Frank from the Statesman's Journal newspaper that tried to get me to sign a movie contract that I didn't want to do. So basically, you're stalking me. So I sent this information, and it made me fear that if he's going to do all these crazy things to me, maybe he was the one that threatened the parole board. So I sent that information with his color pictures, because he sent a bunch of pictures. I sent them to the FBI and said, is this the man that was threatening the parole board in 2010? Because this is the man that's been stalking me since 87. And if he's been stalking me nonstop since 1987, to the point that he put his daughter up to pretending to be my child when she's not, then is it possible, can you, through different measures, find out if he was involved in the shooting back in 83? That was the letter I sent to the parole board and sent you a copy.
In your letter to the FBI, did you question whether you were the daughter of King Michael of Romania?
I questioned because somebody has said it.
Yes, she did. She thought she actually thinks that she might be the daughter of the King of Romania. Yes, you heard that correct.
And I don't know. My dad in 2008, my dad said I was adopted. That opens the door to any possibility. I don't know who my biological parents are. So when someone says, this is your father, he has 5 other daughters. So somebody says daughter. So clearly the man, anything is conceivable. I don't know why I would. I don't believe I am. I don't think I am. But if somebody else thinks I am, if this Michael Hart person thinks I am, then is that why he's stalking me? Is he convinced that there's a pot of gold at the end of some imaginary rainbow? I don't believe I am. Does he believe I am? Somebody needs to ask him, because maybe that's his motive. I don't know. For some reason, he wants very badly for his daughter to be my daughter, and she's not. So why? A reasoning person would want to know, why is it important for him to bootstrap his child, his biological child, to me, unless there's a payoff? Because this is a man that sent Robert Seaver back to New Jersey so they could make $10,000 on a bogus escape story. If they're willing to do all of that for $10,000, why does he want his child to be my child when she's not? What's in it for him? What's the payoff? I don't know. Criminal thinking. But it's not my criminal thinking. I don't know. So I asked the FBI. They have the resources. They have the freedom. They have boots on the ground. I can't find out any of these things. I can ask, and I wrote to the FBI for the Freedom of Information Act for information, because I don't know. People keep telling me crazy things, and I just want an answer. I could sit here and pretend I never heard these things, but that doesn't make them go away, and it doesn't make the predators go away. It doesn't make the stalkers go away. If I can figure out why they're stalking me, maybe I can make them go away. Maybe the FBI can make them go away. I don't know.
So part of the psychological report is Dr. Guyton says that you have fantastical stories. Do you think some of the things that you just described seem fantastical to you, or do they seem, in your opinion, based on reality?
It seems absolutely crazy, bizarre, fantastical, out of this world, strange, crazy. Absolutely. But it's not my story. It's a story somebody's telling me. Somebody else told me these things, and so I asked the FBI, could you please investigate it? And then people said, well, why'd you write to the FBI? So I explained to them why I wrote to the FBI. It's not my story. It's their story. Now, maybe Michael Hart's the one that sent this story. I don't know. And maybe he did it just so you people go, oh, okay, she's a little bit unwrapped. I'm not unwrapped. I receive information.
She's not unwrapped, y'all. She's not unwrapped. Don't worry. Everything is in check. Don't you guys think if any of this was true, why are they asking her about this? If she wrote a letter and included proof, they wouldn't be asking her about it. She's ridiculous.
I asked the appropriate authorities to please investigate. Freedom of Information says, yep, we have a file. What does it say? We have a file since 1955. That's all we're going to say. Well, what does that mean? That's not my story. That's FOIPA, F-O-I-P-A. That's FBI's story. I wrote to them and said, very specifically, do you have a file on me from 1955? That was my only question. Their answer was, yep. What does it say? Yep, we have a file. Fantastical, bizarre, crazy, insane? I'm nobody. I'm just a 65-year-old obese woman sitting in prison for 37 years. I didn't make this up. I'm not over in the FBI. I didn't create a FOIPA file in 1955. I was born in 1955. It's bizarre, but it's not my story. I'm trying to find somebody that can explain the story to me. Because if that file is what got my children hurt, if that file got Cheryl killed, they have a right to know. I have a right to know. My mom has a right to know. So what kind of fool would I be to sit here and go, yeah, it's not true? All I did was ask a question. And now all of a sudden I'm the crazy woman. I'm simply trying to find out why my children were so important that some stranger had to shoot them for no reason. I think my questions are reasonable. I wish the police would ask more questions.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Downs. I want to read one more passage to you. Dr. Guyton writes, Ms. Downs' lack of appreciation for how she affected others, as well as her refusal to accept responsibility for even minor problems, much less her more troubling criminal behavior, suggests a very poor understanding of her own behavior and risk.
Yeah, basically, look, Diane has maintained her innocence this whole time. Somebody else killed her kids, not her. Not her. Yeah, that's the problem.
How do you feel, when I read that to you, how does that make you feel?
She started by saying, so how are you today? I'm fine. Any problems? No, not really. I've been in prison for 37 years. Every single day there's a problem. Every morning there's a problem. I live in a cell with 6 people. We all want to use the sink at the same time. It's a problem. But you don't have to make it a problem. You can make it like, okay, you got to turn at the sink, I have to turn at the sink. If it's annoying, get over it. Those are the kinds of problems she says I don't accept. Everything's just happy, rosy, cheery, happy. I am a happy person. I choose not to focus. I know a girl, every time she gets out of her bed, she's growling because her bunkie makes her annoyed. So move to a bed that doesn't have a bunkie. So I don't choose to be that way. And Dr. Guyton seems to feel that because I don't cling to the negative, that means I want people to believe I live in a rosy world. I live in prison. I live in prison. There's 180 women in this unit from all different walks of life. 900 women on the yard. I have staff that come in every day that they have their own lives. The dog pees in their boots. The wife is pregnant and throwing up. And they come in here and they have their problems and we all work it out. We all have realized in prison that losing the car keys is not the end of the world. We all realize that cooperating and saying, hey, dude, let me get a towel and help you wipe that up. Just because he's an officer doesn't mean that he doesn't need somebody to have his back too. And just because, we're having a bad day and the officer pulls us aside into the game room and says, hey, what's really going on? So you can either choose to have a really messed up life or you can choose to see the positive side of things. I wake up in the morning and it's like, you know what, I think I'm going to go to the garden for a little bit today and I'm going to take so-and-so because she's had a really messed up week. Her dad died and she's really feeling it and I think she wants to go punch somebody, so let me go take her out to the yard. That's just life. That's just what happens in here. And she perceives that as, oh, you don't face the real. We face the real every single minute of every single day in here. Every day that I wake up is a day that I could be killed. Some girl that wants to go to AdSec to be with her girlfriend can hit me in the head with a coffee cup and I'm dead. I am now high-risk medical. Do you know why I'm high-risk medical? I just turned 65 and we have so much COVID in this prison that I am now high-risk medical. I've never been high-risk medical. That is just a reality. One bug that gets through this and I could be on a ventilator. Does that make me happy? No. and that's reality. But I don't choose to go, oh God, COVID's here. Oh God, I could die. What is the point in that? What's going to happen is going to happen. And there's no sense in bemoaning the fact that, oh, I'm in prison. It frustrates me. It makes me sad. It doesn't even frustrate me. It makes me sad that she chooses to perceive that as being that I don't live in the real world. I live in the real world. Trust and believe that. And so because of that, she bootstraps everything else to it. Well, if I can't be real about my situation here, then I can't be real about anything else. But I'm real. I suppose I could have gone in and said, you know what? The lieutenant kept me at the gate for an hour and a half, for 45 minutes. 45 minutes I was standing there, Dr. Guy. Now, that's really messed up. You know what? He didn't even let me. He just stood there. He knew I had to go. But what's the point of doing that? What's the point of acting out and being stupid? I didn't act stupid at the gate. When I got here and I told the officer, he goes, hey, you're late. I said, yeah, I'm in traffic. You know how it goes. That's not minimizing. That's just dealing with the real world. That's like you get caught in a traffic jam. You don't jump out and take a baseball bat and break out the next guy's headlights on his car. You just go, oh, dinner's going to be cold. I don't even have a phone to call my wife. Back in the day, we didn't. But so she gave the impression to me in her report that she thought that because I didn't sit here and whine and complain about being stuck at the gate for 45, she had to wait for me because I was stuck. The lieutenant got busy. It's not his fault. He has things he has to do too. He knew I was there, but he got busy. Well, so maybe she was mad. I don't know.
He asked how that made you feel. She's actually not spoken a word about how she feels. Not really. Like when somebody asks you how you feel, Diane, the answer is, well, I disagree with what she said. I feel like she didn't hear me, and I feel like she mislabeled my attitude about don't start none, won't be none, as if I don't live in the real world. I don't live in reality. That is how you talk about your feelings. So you've learned nothing. I don't know what those classes taught you, but this ain't it, Shug.
But I don't minimize the problems in here. I cope. We all do.
Ms. Downs, let me ask you this. In your life, do you think you've exhibited a history of criminal behavior?
See, ever since this criminal thinking class, it makes me really look at the nitty-gritty. On the whole, no. But yeah, I picked up an ink pen from work and took it home. That's criminal behavior, according to the class. But it wasn't because I looked around and said, oh, I need this pen, let me see what I can get. It wasn't like a conscious, I need a pen and I just don't want to go out, even though I make $20,000 a year, I don't want to go buy one. So, but that is criminal behavior. It wasn't my pen, it belonged to the post office. So I have picked up a few post office pens. But as far as sitting around and going, you know what, I think I need a Rolls Royce, let me go rob a bank. I didn't have that kind of criminal thinking, no.
Okay, hold on. Let me just address Shamina. Thank you for being a member for 37 months. Oh, that has been day one. Shamina, you know I love you. Hey, I did send the message. Did you get your code and all the things that you needed to? Okay, love you, lady. Bye. Here we go.
Okay, and Ms. Downs, I just want to read to you one last passage, and this is sort of Dr. Guyton's conclusion, which is what we were talking about when we began during this discussion about the psychological report. She says, Ms. Downs.
Yeah, cray. She made $20,000 a year in the 80s as a postal worker. That's not bad money. She did it all right.
Is at low overall risk for violence to strangers, violence that occurs during interpersonal conflicts, and intimate partner violence. The risk of future violence she does pose stems from her history of extreme violence against others in her care, her narcissistic and antisocial personality features, and the low level of insight she has into her functioning. Do you think those risk factors that she identified are things that are true? And if so, do you think those are things that you need to work on?
I'd say, I'm going to use an analogy. Actually, it's a real world thing. I live in a cell with 5 to 7 other women. There's anywhere from 6 to 8 of us in a cell at any given time. That's very close and very intimate. Like I said, 2 sinks, 8 women, 1 toilet, 1 shower. We're locked down. we don't go anywhere. People can get irritated and annoyed at the very littlest things. Somebody left their shoes. It's a very small space. You literally have, from shoulder to shoulder, that much space in between the bed and the locker. Your shoulder is going to rub on your bunkie's towel. That's very annoying to certain people. I'm telling you this, the living situation, because she says that I don't pose a risk to strangers, only to people that I live intimately with. I have lived.
You have lived intimately with women who could kick your entire ass. They would clean your clock. Stop playing with these people. You are also highly supervised. She's talking about you being alone in a home with your elderly parents, because once they are of no value to you, or they don't give you what you want, or you think that they've become a burden, or whatever justification you give it, you are a risk to anybody at any time for any for any reason, because you're antisocial, because you are a psychopath, because you are all of the cluster Bs. Don't get it twisted, ma'am.
Intimately since 1993, 1996, when I came out of ADSEG, with 7 other women in a very small space designed for 4. And the reports that you received, the history shows that there's no violence, there's no predation, there's no anger, there's no DRs, there's no verbal assaults, there's no conflict. So clearly I don't have a problem living around intimates, if that's the word that you want to use. So I don't think that's true. I do think that I would benefit from counseling. I have been in prison for almost 37 years. I see criminals everywhere. Everything. After all the criminal thinking classes, all the different kinds of insightful classes, the classes for insight that I've taken, I am more aware of the criminal mind. I watch Congress, and I see crimes being committed in Congress. The only thing that Nancy Pelosi and what's his name agreed on today was enough money to, and this was on the news this morning, they now have funded the congressional business up until January. That's the only thing that those people can agree on. To me, that's criminal thinking. You are taking taxpayer dollars. So what I'm saying is, I could benefit from counseling when I go home. There's no question about that. Because I don't see the goodness in people only anymore. Before, I only saw the goodness. I sought for a stranger because that's what you do. That's what the Bible says to do. That's what God wants you to do. That's my responsibility. That's my social contract, is to stop for somebody by the side of the road. That's what you do. Now, that will never happen again, because you can be a little 85-year-old woman with a cane beside the road, and my first thought is going to be, what's that con all about? So absolutely I could benefit from counseling when I go home. And I intend to involve myself in counseling when I go home. I would like to find that happy medium where I trust people again, but I don't trust the wrong people again. So, insight, my insight. What she wants me to do is say that I shot my kids, and I didn't. And if I have to stay here until I turn to dust, I think my kids have a right to know that their mom loves them. Yes, I was stupid. Yes, I was foolish. Yes, I lived a very careless life, and I thought that I was putting them first by taking them with me everywhere, and it put them in jeopardy, and that was wrong. That was horrible. That was the worst thing that's ever happened to me in my life. I've been stabbed in prison. I've been shot twice in prison. I've had my ankles cut up by leg irons in prison, and none of that compares. What happened to me, none of that compares to what I did to them. And it can never be undone. That's the worst part of it. My children's health will never be restored to what it was. Their histories will never be what it was. They'll never know their grandpa died in 2017. They'll never know their grandpa. That's a door that is shut that can never be opened for them. I have insight into who I am. I loathe myself. They say the first part of healing is liking yourself again. I don't know that I ever will. I don't think I ever can. But I'm also not going to just denigrate myself just to convince people that I have self-contempt. What do I need to do that for? I don't have to be miserable and treat my roommates bad just to prove to the world that I hate myself. I have a social responsibility to treat the people around me with respect. What I can't do is trust them. And maybe it's just because I am so angry at myself. No, it's more than that. It's from living around criminals for 37 years. Humans have a dark side.
So, Ms. Downs, before I move on, I neglected to ask you one of the questions I had prepared, but I do want to spend a little bit of time asking about your physical health. How are you doing physically?
Well, see, this is where I always say I'm good, but I'm not. I'm 65. We probably had 25 officers in here that have tested positive for COVID, and that makes me sad for them and their families, but it also puts us in jeopardy. And so on my birthday, August 7th of this year, you'll see that my medical status changed to high risk because I'm 65 and there's a lot of COVID in here. We've got a whole building that's set aside for positive cases and another wing set aside for people that are being tested. So that part of my health, I have arthritis. I'm obese. That's not good. Past that, I guess I'm good. My health is good.
All right, thank you.
There are people.
You can finish your thought if you would like.
I was just going to say there are people that are in way worse condition. There's people in wheelchairs. There's people with canes, and so when I look at them, I think I'm good. I'm good. But if you're asking like from a doctor's point of view, yeah, I'm broke down. I'm getting there.
All right, thank you. Ms. Kress, do you have any questions regarding the psychological report?
I do, thank you. Since we're on the topic of health, I did want to also ask, do you have an assigned mental health caseworker at the institution?
No, I don't.
And are you on any?
Go ahead.
Are you on any medications related to mental health?
No.
And you started to say you've asked for one, but
I've asked for one because it was the parole board made it clear that they couldn't tell if I'd gone from point A to point B to point Z without a professional telling them. And so I asked for one, and the psych that saw me said, we discontinued our mental health hospitals here years ago. We are low on resources, low on staff. We cannot waste our resources and staff time on helping people. There's nothing wrong with you. So that's the closest I've come to getting a psych evaluation. So I've tried.
And in regards to the psychological evaluation, one of the statements in the report states, Ms. Downs' case received intense media attention, and there is suggestion in the records that she has enjoyed the notoriety her case has received. In her dealing with her legal case, Ms. Downs rarely presented with low, sad affect, but instead appeared to relish in the limelight. How do you respond to that statement?
I want to know where in the records it says that. I hate the media. I can't stand the media.
Ma'am, you hate the media? No. You thought you could manipulate the media. That's what you thought. You thought that you would get on TV, give your interview, and everybody would see how wrong they were about you, how horribly you'd been treated and mislabeled, and it was terrible. Then how dare they? That's what you thought. But what really happened is the camera doesn't lie. You said what you said. You acted how you acted. That's the truth. And everybody saw you for exactly what you are, a friggin' demon. That's why you don't like the media, because you can't manipulate them. But you did try. Don't play with these people. Don't play. Diane, Elizabeth, that's her government name. I don't know why she goes by Diane now.
I talked to the media when I first went to New Jersey. I was 3,000 miles away from my kids. And I talked to the media
Okay, so they classify people who have a body mass index of 35% or more. So they take your weight and divide it by your height, and that is how you get your body mass index. If you have a body mass index of 35% or more, you're considered obese. It's just a medical thing. It's not like everybody that has a body mass index of 35% or more, you're overweight. But it used to be, I think it used to be higher, or they might have even lowered it. It might be 30% now, and it was 35%. But at any rate, you're not, it's not like she's, going to become a patient of Dr. Now on My 600-Pound Life. She's not, like morbidly obese or super morbidly obese, but she is considered, because of her body mass index, they consider that obese.
3 times because it was the only way that I could tell my kids I love them is on a TV show. None of that ever made it to the TV show. All of that always got edited out. So I haven't talked to the media since then. I have nothing to say to the media. I don't relish the limelight. In prison, when you're in prison, people don't hate me because they think I'm a quote unquote baby killer. Do you know why they hate me?
Oh,
Because I'm
do tell.
famous. So I really
You're infamous. There's a difference. Fame implies that you have some sort of talent, that you have a skill that you possess that sets you apart from other people. No, ma'am. You're infamous. And people do hate you because you're a murderer.
don't relish the limelight. This is best thing that ever happened to me in prison was getting old. Now all the youngsters, they're all doing their own thing and all trying to get famous and all trying to go out and gangbang so they can make the world the world news. And they forget about me because I'm just that old lady. I'm just the old lady in the garden. That's all I am anymore. And no, I do not relish the limelight. I have never relished the limelight. The only people who've ever said that is the media. That's why I want to know where it says that in the record. She says it's in the record, but I don't understand where it's in the record. I haven't seen it. So.
My other question regarding the evaluation, there's sort of a consistent theme around narcissism in the evaluation and sort of a feeling of being self-centered or self-important. How do you respond to that? And do you feel like you recognize some narcissistic traits in yourself?
2 things to be said for that. 1, this parole board hearing is about me. So we're talking about me. That isn't me being self-centered. That's me trying to answer questions from my point of view so that you'll understand what's happening to me. Same with the psych evaluation. It was all about me, but not from my point of view. I am complying with your requests to tell you about me. Second of all, in here, I do charity work. I do things for other people. I don't sit around on a fluffy pillow waiting for people to take care of me. My roommates fixed my hair today, not because I'm that important, but because they feel like they're paroling too. So they're excited. They're anxious. They're sitting back there waiting. Not because I am the center of attention, but because we as a group, as a whole, we are a community. We're a unit. And so we
Diane, do you really think that a forensic psychologist is going to diagnose you as having narcissistic traits because you're simply asking questions about yourself? You don't think that she can differentiate between a narcissistic personality disorder and you're asking questions about me, so I'm answering those questions? Are you high? What is wrong with you? My God, that is the most asinine response I've heard in a minute. Not ever. Her other responses have been more asinine than this one, but this was still pretty asinine.
share in each other's joys and each other's failures. So narcissism is all about me. If I was narcissistic, I wouldn't be wearing a mask because it ruins my lipstick. I don't wear lipstick back in the unit. I don't wear makeup back in the unit. I throw my hair up in a nice loose bun and I have hairs poking up everywhere. I'm not worried about trying to attract attention or shine the spotlight on me. I don't. I'm in the garden working covered in dirt behind a juniper and people don't even know that I'm there until they go, oh, criminy, Diane, I didn't even know you were back there. Well, they don't say criminy, but anyway. Yeah, I don't draw attention to myself. I don't put myself in a position of being special. I don't know why she writes that. I really don't know why.
Let me tell you why she wrote that. Because when you talk about what happened to the kids, it's an act that you perpetrated upon them. You shot your children. Let's be clear. All right. But when you talk about it, you mention that you couldn't tie your shoes for 2 months, that you have a steel rod or plate in your arm, that you have a scar that will probably always be there, that will never go away. You talk about yourself. You don't give a rat's fat kneecap about anybody else. That's narcissistic behavior. That's narcissistic traits. Not when somebody asks you, how are you feeling today? And you talk about how you're feeling. They're asking you. That's ridiculous. You don't understand why people say that. That's the problem, Diane. That's the problem right there. And the fact of the matter is, your personality disorder is so severe that you don't, first of all, you can't change what you don't acknowledge. You don't think you have a personality disorder. You don't think there's anything wrong with you other than you have some criminal thinking in that you put 2 wooden shelves in your locker when wooden shelves are illegal. That's the worst thing you've ever done. And even when you escaped, it was really altruistic, because what you were really trying to do is find the killer of your children. Shut up. And exactly, Jessica, narcissism is more than appearance, you dingbat. That's being vain. I don't want to wear a mask because it will mess up my lipstick. I don't want to wear a mask because I don't like how the things go over my ears and make my ears stick out. That's being vain. That's not narcissistic. Shut up.
Thank you. Those are my only questions about the evaluation.
Mr. Taylor, do you have any questions?
I do. Ms. Downs, I wanted to follow up on that same subject matter. On page 15 of the psychological evaluation, you told the doctor that you might be open to mental health counseling in the future. And you further told her that you were reluctant to talk to others about their problems, being other inmates. And the reason for that was because, this is according to your conversation with her, you said, because you have your own things to fix. I have so much chaos and brokenness. Can you expound upon that in terms of the details of what chaos and brokenness you see in yourself?
I sort of touched on it a little bit earlier. I've been in prison 37 years. It's like if you move to France. They have a whole different way of doing things. They don't wear deodorant. There's all kinds of things. You would eventually either grow accustomed to their ways or adopt some of their ways in order to get along. There's a lot of things about prison in 37 years that I've adopted. I still don't brew hooch. I still don't use drugs. I still don't use legal drugs so that I can get high. I don't even use an inhaler for the albuterol, which is what the girls use so they can get high. I don't do any of those things. But there are things that I do. Some of it is I keep my hands visible at all times. Because in prison, when your hands are down, the staff want to know what you're doing. And so it makes them edgy. It makes them nervous. They want to know if you're reaching for something, if you're reaching for a weapon. So my hands are always visible. That's not a bad thing, but it's a conditioning. It's a conditioning that might make other people think, why are you always got your hands in the air? Are you trying to draw attention to yourself? No, I'm trying to make my officer here not think I'm reaching for a shank. So that's brokenness to me. Talking about my children, I'm not allowed to talk about my children. When my parents come, it's the only time that we're able to ever talk about Christie and Danny and Cheryl. And we only talk about the happy memories. We only talk about the good things because they don't want to make me cry, and I don't want to make them cry. And so that's a brokenness. Most people can say, hey, you know what my son was doing this last weekend? Well, he was out playing softball, and I'll tell you what, he caught that ball at third base. I can't do that. My son, from what I understand, my son was on the swimming team when he was in college. I can't tell people that. They go, oh, what the hell, you don't have a right to talk about that. It's retribution constantly. So there are things that we were talking earlier about, I think constantly, before I act, before I say anything, before I do anything, I always think first. And I want to think, but I don't want to have to think about everything. I want to be able to say, hey, here's an example. I had a dream the other day that I was at Mom's house, and I said, Mom, what color do you want to paint the dining room? And Christie came out of the kitchen, and she was carrying a toaster, and she goes, I like mauve. And I glanced over at her, and I said, Mauve's nice. And I didn't like, oh my gosh, it's Christie. It's like she had been there, and I was comfortable. I told my mom that on the phone, and it was so liberating just to be able to say something normal. I had a dream about my daughter, and it was awesome, and she was going to help us paint the dining room off. I didn't tell anybody that in prison. And if I hadn't been able to call my mom on the phone, I wouldn't have been able to tell my mom that. That is something I would have had just kept inside, and it never would have gone anywhere. And then eventually it would have just gone away. Now that I've told it, it's like always mine forever because I was able to share it. And I shared it with you. So there are things. That's a brokenness. When I'm at home, am I going to be able to, at the church, if they say, hey, Miss Downs, do you have any kids? You know what I say? No. Because if I say yes, people say, well, how are they doing? Where are they? I don't know. That's a brokenness. Those are things that I know I need counseling for. I need to be able to go into the church and say, yes, I had children. No.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me? If you go into the church, you're going to catch on fire. You're going to burn right up. Okay? You damn demon. Lord have mercy. I can't with her. I'm not allowed to talk about my kids. Shut up.
I don't have children. They have another mother and another father, and they're happy where they are, and they're good. And I can't do that. I certainly can't do that in here. And I don't see myself doing it out there just the day I get out. I don't see that happening. So yeah, I need counseling. I know I need counseling. Not because you guys say I have to, not because Dr. Guyton says I should, but because I know I need it.
Thank you. I want to ask a question about the mental health, since we are on that subject as well. In the original PSI, after your arrest for the instant crime, it stated that you saw a doctor and you were diagnosed with cyclothymic disorder, which is a disorder that's similar to bipolar disorder, but not as severe, and that you went to counseling for 6 months for that disorder. Do you recall those counseling sessions?
That was Dr. Jameson, yes. And the only reason I stopped is because I was arrested. I went until I was arrested.
Were they helpful while you were going?
Yes, absolutely they were. The
Oh
reason
my
that
God.
she labeled me that is because
No. Were they helpful? Were they helpful? Because you took your ass on TV. Okay? You gave an interview and you made up a bunch of shit and you lied through your teeth. So were they really helpful? Were they? I feel like they weren't. And let's hear why the doctor labeled you. You explain to us why the doctor labeled you the way that the doctor labeled you, please, Diane, because I cannot wait to hear it.
it was right after Cheryl was gone, right after Christie and Danny were gone, and I was not good. I was here and I was there and I was everywhere in between. I was not functioning well at all. I was happy. I would laugh hysterically and then I would cry for no reason. And I would laugh until I cried. And if you asked me why, I couldn't have told you why. It's nothing. It's everything. And so being able to talk to her, she goes, what does nothing mean? What does everything mean?
Y'all, did you see that heifer cry one time? One time? I never saw her cry one time. Shut up, Diane.
And so I was finally able, she says, stop. Just stop. Pause. Think what's the first thing that comes to your mind and then go from there. And so it did help. It did help. Yeah. And she was probably the first one that taught me about just stop. Because when you're rolling, just stop.
Yeah, you're rolling. Kelly said, the next parolee that's waiting in the hallway, nerves wrapped as fuck, is like, what the fuck is taking so long? Have they forgotten I'm out here? Am I here on the wrong day? What the fuck? They are. They are. Oh, God. Because they get them up at the butt crack of dawn for this.
And the only reason I kind of asked that question is because, professionals, according to what's in the documentation says that this disorder, it really doesn't get better with time.
Nope,
That
sure doesn't.
continuous counseling is necessary, and that untreated, it could develop into bipolar 1 or bipolar 2. So have you ever felt like you've had issues with that diagnosis that was given to you 37 years ago up to today?
I would say no, and I would encourage you to talk to Dr. Jameson. She told me that the reason that she considered that was because it was situational. It was because of trauma, because of the death.
Shut up, Diane. Even in 1983, they had diagnoses for PTSD. They did. She didn't just label you. Oh my God.
And the children being taken, Christie and Danny being taken, and still trying to function in the real world, delivering mail, and the police showing up at the post office and pulling me off my route to ask me questions.
Ma'am, you went out and seduced some guy and got knocked up and had a child, were pregnant while you were on trial, delivered the child while you were in prison. Shut up.
And then coming home, and it was basically just trying to fit everybody else's mold. And for real, getting arrested stopped all that. It just stopped. The police weren't there. The job wasn't there. I had one focus, which was the trial. And I haven't had the mood swings. I don't laugh hysterically until I cry. I never have since. So
don't y'all think if she's talking about she had all of this going on, okay? Did y'all ever see her laugh hysterically until she cried? I feel like that would have been shown. No, Kelly. So she committed the crime May 19th of 1983. She was not arrested and charged with the attempted murders of Danny and Christie and the murder of Cheryl until February of 1984. So in that interim, she was loose on the streets. She continued delivering mail. She met some guy and she got pregnant. She wasn't immediately arrested.
I imagine that's something that I would bring up with counseling. I would ask her to communicate with Dr. Jameson and find out from Dr. Jameson, get her files, and find out exactly what that meant and why. And maybe that is something. Maybe that's something that still needs to be addressed. I don't know the answer to that.
I want to kind of talk about some of your mental thoughts that you have around death.
Oh, God.
This is discussed in the psychological evaluation. You had mentioned that during your lifetime, you've had, let's say, pets die. You've had relatives die. You've had other tragedies in your life. It seemed from reading the evaluation that you believed that there was always someone responsible for the death of anything that occurred in your life. And it almost seemed like a conspiracy theory that you felt like the person responsible for killing your pets when you were growing up, the person that killed your dad's parents when they were in a car wreck, the person that killed your uncle, by shooting him in the head, could be the same person that tried to kill your kids. Is that a thought process that you believe is feasible?
It is. And I know it's probably not what you want to hear. And I didn't always feel that way. When I was a kid,
God.
I didn't have that.
You think that somebody has been following you around since you were a kid, and the same person that is responsible for your pets dying, your grandparents dying, your uncle is the same person that shot your kids. Okay. Let's break this down. I don't know what happened to your pets, okay? Maybe it's a leak because maybe you were responsible for your pets dying because you damn sure were responsible for Cheryl dying, and you damn sure are responsible for attempting to murder Danny and Christie. So let's not get it twisted, ma'am. Here we go.
Not until after Cheryl died. Cheryl was killed. Not until after that. And then I started wondering. And even then, I didn't associate my grandparents' death and Uncle David's death with Cheryl's death until it was actually...
Kelly, Elizabeth Diane Downs is her government name. I don't know why she... I don't know why she goes by Diane, why she chose that, but Diane is her middle name. But yeah. All right, let's rewind this. Let's hear this let's hear it, okay? Let's hear her answer to this.
Could be the same person that tried to kill your kids. Is that a thought process that you believe is feasible?
It is. And I know it's probably not what you want to hear. And I didn't always feel that way. When I was a kid, I didn't have that thought. Not until after Cheryl died. Cheryl was killed. Not until after that. And then I started wondering. And even then, I didn't associate my grandparents' death and Uncle David's death with Cheryl's death until it was actually years later when people started sending me all these letters saying, oh, I know this and I know that, and what about this and what about that? And then I started thinking, again, I'm not that important.
This is a level of bullshittery that absolutely needs a palate cleanser. What do you guys think? Because I definitely, I need something. I can't, I need a palate cleanser. Where's our cats? Where's the cats? Hold on. Let me find it. Here we go.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
Whew, I feel better. How about you guys? Let me check on you guys. Whew. She is, damn, I mean, every single time. Oh my God, Patricia. Patricia, please don't ever change. Patricia. I'm not even able to get it out. Patricia said, hold on. She looks like she has a Princess Leia wig on sideways. She really does. I never noticed that before. Oh my God. You want to say it one more time, Coffee and Skeletons? Okay. All right. You guys ready? One more time. One more palate cleanser before we get back into the foolishness and ridiculousness that is Diane. Where are they at? Here we go. All right. One more time. Here we go. One time for the one time.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.
That cat with the bow tie does look like Hank Brennan. And he's talking about that damn ham sandwich. Hank Brennan going to be salty about that damn ham sandwich for the rest of his life. Hank, if you're having issues with ham sandwiches, sir, I suggest you confront the ham sandwich directly. You need to work it out, bro. All right, here we go.
Why are people from Ohio and Florida and Washington State and Arizona, why are they all writing to me and saying these same things? These people don't, as far as I know, they don't even know each other. And they're all writing and saying these same things about my children, about my grandparents, about my Uncle David, as if somebody wants me to believe that. Okay, that doesn't make it true, but it makes one person want somebody in Florida, Ohio, Arizona, Washington to all write to me from different parts of the country and say the same thing to make me believe that. Just to make me look crazy? You don't have to. Parole board isn't going to have to let me go if they don't want to let me go. You don't have to make me look crazy to keep me here. So why is one person doing all this unless this person has a motive? And is the motive to keep me in prison? Then was the motive to put me in prison? And so by extrapolation, that's why I write to the FBI. They can find out if they care. And if they don't care, what have I lost? What have I lost? I've been in prison 37 years without being dangerous. I'm low risk, according to the psychiatric report, I'm low risk for danger, for violence, for anger, for aggression.
Okay. You need to read the rest of that statement. You are low risk to strangers. Okay? And what did we learn from Sesame Street, y'all? A stranger is a friend that you haven't met yet. Therefore, to put it in your terms, by extrapolation, everyone is a stranger to you until they aren't. And therefore, you are a danger to everyone. Idiot.
So, by asking the FBI for help, look, this is how I see it. Let's say you guys decide to let me go home today. I'm going out there to somebody who is sending me these crazy letters. I'm no longer your control. I'm not living in your custody anymore. I'm not living inside an electric fence anymore. I'm out there where crazy people can now put letters in my mom's mailbox. I'm now living out there where when I go to get gas at the gas station, somebody can slide up next to me and say, hey, did you know? I want to know who this person is for my mom's safety, for my kids' safety, for my brother's safety, for my niece's safety. Right now, whoever's doing this is having a blast, making me look like the crazy person. Maybe that's his only goal, just to make me look crazy. Well, kudos to him. But what if it's not? What if this goes all the way back to 1983? What if this goes all the way back to 1971?
Spoiler alert, ho, it doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't. You're responsible for killing for killing Cheryl, and you are responsible for attempting to kill Danny and Christie. The end. That's all. There's no big conspiracy. There's not. I don't even believe that you have people writing you letters, frankly, that say that from different parts of the country.
So I asked.
From the evaluation by Dr. Schulte, did describe you as someone with high intellectual, superiority. I think he said that she has a higher intellectual capacity than 99% of similar aged individuals. And so with that intelligence, you can probably discern between people that are making up stories to get to you.
Yes.
And
Yes.
to make money for themselves versus what's reality.
Yes.
And that's
As the Beastie Boys would say, she crafty.
kind of the dilemma. But let me ask you another question. This is from the evaluation.
Yeah, presser James Taylor, board member.
You, in the 1987 PSI, you were described, or I should say you described your plans to marry Donald LeSueur, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, who resided in Texas.
Oh, God.
And Mr. LeSueur was previously married to Susan Atkins, who was convicted in the Charles Manson family killing of Sharon Tate in 1981. My question to you is, someone with the high intelligence that you have, why would you want to marry someone who was convicted of conspiring with Charles Manson to murder many people? Why would you want to be married to someone like that?
I would not want to be married, and I'm not married to him. The mailroom gets all my mail.
Oh, here
They
we
told
go.
the PSI reporter that the man was asking me to marry him. He wanted me to sign a movie contract. I said no. John Stevens wanted me to sign a movie contract. I said no. So when John Stevens came to visit me, I wanted to know if they were connected, if Donald Lee LeSueur and John Stevens were connected. And so I said, well, I don't know. I don't think I have a Greenfield connection.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me? I forgot about this part, you guys. Help me, Obi-Wan. You're my only hope. Diane, you've been in prison for 37 years. Stop playing with these people. There isn't anybody that you could have asked. Do you know how many people write to prisoners? Letitia Stout gets letters all the time from people. Oh my God. It's like she doesn't even know how anything works.
Donald wants me to sign a contract, and you want me to sign a contract? He goes, oh, well, then don't let me step on your toes. If you got something worked out with him, go ahead and call him. And I said, well, I can't remember his phone number. I think it's 903-123, I don't remember. He said 4567. I said, you're his partner. So that's what I was trying to do. I was playing Donald Lee LeSueur to find out, to get proof that they were partners in this, and they were. And then after I got the proof, we're done. I got nothing more to say to you. The mailroom can give you all the letters. They can prove to you, if they haven't thrown them away, they can prove to you I was not serious about marrying him. The counselor, the records clerk actually, was so worried about me, she actually went on.
Everybody is so worried about you. This is so scary, all the things, right? But there's no record of it. You know what I want to know, Kelly? More than if she has a contraband cell phone, I want to know, because she is in the same prison as Betty Broderick, and I want to know if those two ever cross paths. I don't think they would get along at all. They're too similar.
Contacted the counselor at CIW for Susan Atkins and had Susan Atkins write me a letter. I received a letter from Susan Atkins. She told me this.
Oh God, there's somebody stable. That's somebody's word you can take to the bank. Shut up. Callie Lisa said she's probably listening to this live right now. Good. Give me a thumbs up, Diane.
Man's a con man. I wrote back and said, I know. I've always known. You're right. I have the intelligence to read between the lines. What I don't understand is there's still somebody doing it. I don't know who's doing it. I know it's BS. That's why I said, I don't think I'm King Michael's daughter. That if somebody else is trying to make me appear to be, because somehow it benefits them, I want to know who's doing it. I'm not the only person they're victimizing, I'm sure. Heck, they victimized my parents. They got thousands of dollars from my parents by pretending that Rebecca Babcock is my daughter. She goes, oh, Grandpa, I want to go to college. Can you send me some money? My dad sent her thousands of dollars for tuition.
I forgot about this.
So I dang well do want to know who these people are. Not because I believe them. Not because I believe Donald Lee LeSueur is a wonderful person. Not because I believe that I'm King Michael's daughter. Not because I believe that I'm special. But because they're preying on me, and that means they're preying on other people. There's no way that they just decided I'm the only one. For 10 years, Michael Hart never wrote to me. Who's he been preying on? He's been preying on somebody. He's making his money somehow. That's why I wrote to the FBI. Please help me find these people and stop them. Not just for me, not just for my parents, not just for my children. It's a criminal organization.
Yep.
And yeah, I do want to take them down.
Oh.
Yeah, I do want to find out who they are. If the FBI wants me to give every bit of information that I can think of, all they have to do is show up at this probably visiting room. I will give them everything and then be done with it. But right now, I just save it.
Now, you read the psychological report and the scores that you received on the various tests and checklists that were given to you. There was one checklist called the PCLR, and that particular test, the average scores for female prisoners is 19. That's the average. And your score was 21, which puts you in the above average range for adult females in prison. And that score equates to you having a moderate to high level of severely antisocial or psychopathic personality.
What'd I say?
How did you react to seen that particular score.
Yeah, Diane, how you feel about
Well, I
that?
addressed it in a letter to you, and I can get it out and read it to you, but it's on the record, so if I need to appeal, it's on the record. But it goes back to I can probably do some counseling when I get out, because living in prison for 37 years with criminals has...
Diane, stop it. Stop it. You cannot. That's not how those tests work, okay? For example, if I were to take that test today, right, and I would get a score, all right, and then if I were to go be in prison for 37 years and take the same test again, if I wasn't a psychopath 37 years prior, I'm not going to be a psychopath 37 years after the fact. Okay? That's not how those tests work. You need to stop fucking around. You're an absolute psychopath. Now, here's the thing about psychopaths. Psychopaths, just because somebody's a psychopath, not all psychopaths are killers, but or even serial killers. But all serial killers are psychopaths. There are studies that suggest that people who are psychopaths do very, very well in the business world, where it's very, very cutthroat. You cannot worry about what other people think, how other people are feeling. You are out for you. And I'm talking about like running a business, being a, CEO of a Fortune 500 company, like crazy business. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. What link? What link is expired? Hold on. Let me look in the chat.
acclimated me to viewing life differently.
Prison
Man.
made her a psychopath. Prison made her a psychopath. Get it together, ma'am.
You would, or, well, my staff here, probably a little bit differently. Simply as a matter of survival.
Do you think your continued engagement with, I'll use the word that was used earlier, fantastical stories and these theories, and do you think your continuous engagement in that realm makes people feel uncomfortable with your stability?
Yeah, I believe that's why she thinks that is the reason, and that's why I said it. I wrote about it, and rather than rehash it, I believe that is why she believes that I have psychopathy, because she doesn't believe it. I don't believe it either, but I'm willing to investigate it. So, yes, I believe that colored her ability to view me as me. And
so if you were paroled, how aggressively would you pursue these various stories?
Zero. I would go to the FBI and say, you've received my letters. This is what I have. This is what else I have. Because there's other things at home. There's other pictures. There's other letters. This is everything that I have. I'm giving it to you in a big box. If you want to find these people, here you go. If you want to call me and there's something I can do to answer your question and fill in the blank, I'm available. If you are interested in finding this criminal organization and stopping them, which I think they are, they just arrested 159 people last night, so they do look for criminal organizations. So if you are interested, I'll help you. If you're not interested, that's fine. But I'm telling you right now, there will be a big sign around the house that says, no trespassing, Texas Rangers are on speed dial. And that's it. I'm not going to go looking. Clearly, they got what they wanted. They want me to look crazy. Cool. And I'm not.
Thank you. That's all the questions I have is done. Thank you for answering the questions.
You're welcome.
Ms. Lowry?
Hi, yes, I do. I have just a few questions. So first, I want to touch back on something that you just talked about with Board Member Taylor. That you kind of started talking about your worries surrounding your safety on the outside and the fact that you would no longer be inside an electric fence and that anyone could get to you. And what that struck in me was a conversation that you had with Dr. Guyton about a previous parole hearing that you had and your conversation surrounding safety that you had then. And it was with Wheeler, Baker, and Felton. And you asked the board, are you going to send me to a location of the board's choosing, as they've done with other high-profile cases in the past? And you asked the board, please don't do that because, I feared for my parents' safety. I finally said something to the effect, I know you don't believe a stranger shot my children. I know you think I made him up, but I didn't. He's real, and I fear he'll hurt my family again. No one else knows to protect my family because no one believes he's real. And then you write, by that time, Member Baker was in tears. Member Wheeler said, we do believe you, Ms. Downs. We finally get it. You aren't making this up. You've been telling the truth all along. But don't you think you'll put your parents in more danger by going home to them? Won't he follow you there? So then you write, maybe. I sighed. My shoulders sagged, my spirit broken. I squeezed back my tears and replied, maybe. But if you send me someplace safe for me, I fear he'll threaten my parents to force me to present myself to him anyway. Mom could be out shopping. Dad gets a call from one saying Mom's been in a wreck to lure Dad out of the house into a trap. I was stupid once. I was careless and my children were shot by a stranger. I won't ever let that happen to people I love again. So at this point, Member Wheeler, you say, was visibly exhausted. She says, I understand, Ms. Downs. I don't know how we're going to do this, but I promise we won't separate you from your parents. By this time, Member Baker was crying really hard, and Member Wheeler said they needed a recess. So they have a recess, they come back. And you talk about your parole plans, and Member Wheeler says, you need to save your money and prepare for an alternative plan, at which point you talked about the plans that you presented, and then Member Wheeler said, listen to what I'm saying, Ms. Downs. Save your money and prepare for an alternative parole plan. And then it rung bells with you, maybe what was going on. And it reminded you of a hearing with Janice Freeman, a previous hearing. And for you, it sounded like Member Wheeler was telling you not to get depressed because, the parole board was going to release you, but they didn't want to put it on the record. They didn't want the media to know the plans in advance. Like she was kind of telegraphing to you, be ready, be prepared. So all of this kind of recitation goes back to a question I have is, do you have these worries still about safety if you're released for your family, for your children, and maybe even to a lesser extent to members of the parole board? You mentioned you wondered if the parole board had gotten the same threats from the same person. Do you still carry these worries about your safety?
Yes. Yes, I do. I worry about my family. I worry about all of you, except I've given you heads up. And I've given the FBI heads up, I've given Lane County District Attorney heads up, and I don't have control over that. So there's nothing else that I can say more than what I've said. I've asked Mom if she would be willing to go someplace else with me when I parole. She said yes. So past that, that's the most that I can do. If you parole me, then of course I'll have a parole officer, and if somebody wants to get information from somebody in your office, and however they do it, hack, I don't know how they do it, then they can find out where I'm paroled, who my parole officer is and what county what state I'm in. They can do that, and that would still put us in danger. If you discharge me, then I'm not your problem, and I also don't have a parole officer, and Mom and I can go anywhere that we want to go, and we don't have to worry about anybody finding us about predators. That's why I say I would give the FBI everything that I have and wash my hands of it, because past that, there's nothing I can do. There are so many.
This is an example of how deluded Diane really is. And she said, I mean, you got to give it, I'll give her one little point for, she says it with her whole chest. Like, she will not admit to shooting her children ever. That's never going to happen. And she really believed that parole hearing in 2010, which we watched a little bit of, because it's all of it used to be available on YouTube, but it's not anymore, or I can't find it. No, Justified. No. Hold on. I'll tell you. Hold on. Let me look it up. I'll tell you when it is. Anyway, in that 2010, she really did think that speech that we watched her give at the end, that, they were agreeing with her that there is somebody out there that did this to her children. She is going to get out on parole, and you know, they're just going to have to keep it on the low. All right, so hold on, I'll tell you. She had a lot of parole hearings. Hold on a minute. She had parole hearings in, oh no, I lied. Hold on a second. I think her first parole hearing was in 2010, and her second parole hearing was in 2020. And then she had her third parole hearing this year in October, and we're going to get to that, I promise. But yeah, we're going to get to that. Just, we got to get through this, because if we don't hear what she said in 2020, how can we know she changed? You know, like I haven't listened to it. It's so hard. I want to watch it so bad, but I'm waiting to watch it with you guys.
Predatory organizations out there on the dark net.
Oh, here we go. On the dark net.
To save these people. But it is my social contract to speak when I know something bad is happening. And so I've spoken. And past that, there's nothing I can do except protect my family. So that would be my request. I know I'm not here to make requests, but my request is for a discharge as opposed to parole.
Kelly's right. This is her third. I don't know why I gaslight myself like that. Her first one was in 2008. 2008. Yeah, right now she would be waiting to hear back. I can tell you guys, she ain't gonna get it.
Okay. So as of this moment, right, in this hearing this morning, everyone's safe. At least to my knowledge anyway. Your family, your children, members of the board, Lane County DA, all these people you've warned of danger. Everyone's safe, and everyone has been.
Uh-oh. Everybody's gone.
Oh, please hold on.
It's the
Like I said, this happens from time to time. Let's give it about.
Yeah, it's the man. It's the bushy man. He's the man with the bushy hair. He's messing now with the internet. I forgot what I was going to say. I totally forgot. Huh. Oh, well, maybe it'll come back to me.
A minute.
Okay. He's still there, so apparently it's on their end. Imagine that. Hi, Chris.
Oh, I know what I was going to say. So all this stuff that she says occurred prior to her parole hearing in 2010. Okay. Hey, Michelle. And, it's been 10 years between all these threats. And this is what the board member is trying to ask her, trying to get her to reconcile that everybody's been safe for 10 years. So what's the BFD, lady? Hold on.
He's still.
Sometimes I like to listen to this in between.
Okay, I think we're back online.
Oh, fantastic. I love Greta too. She asks the hard questions.
You can just pick up where we left off before the connection got interrupted.
No problem. So what I was saying was, as of this moment, to my knowledge, everyone's safe. Everyone that you're worried about is safe, and has been, certainly at least as far back as your last parole hearing goes. So my question is, do you think that you might be a little paranoid about the threat that this unknown person poses to you and others, given the fact that nothing has happened to any of these people that you're worried about?
Yes, I'm paranoid, and I'm thankful that you guys are safe. I would rather be, if I had been more thoughtful and less careless in 1983, none of us would be sitting here doing this right now. My children would be having different lives. Cheryl would probably be married with kids if I had been more thoughtful and taken life more seriously. Maybe I take life too seriously. Maybe I take threats too seriously. But I've lived with people in prison that will shank you for no reason. No reason that you know. I've lived for 37 years with horrible things that, I know you're the parole board and you think you have seen and heard a lot of terrible stories. But it's a whole lot different to sit in the day room and listen to the stories, to feel the energy of the people that are getting ready to go and a gang of them go beat some girl up because she had a smart mouth. If I had been more serious, even if I had looked foolish, if I had been more serious, none of us would be here doing this right now. And I look crazy, I look silly, I look fantastical, I look whatever. But I look that way because I fear for you. Not for me, I'm in prison. Every single day is the day that I can die in prison. Big whoop. I fear for you, so I send letters to you for you. And if that makes me look crazy, I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry.
Oh my God. Now I do it all for you. Oh Lord. Give me a break, Diane.
What if one letter, one threat that I got, I just said, that's crazy. Nobody's going to do that. Come on, these people are powerful, they're important. Well, nobody's going to hurt them. They must know that the feds have come looking for them, and I don't say something. And like Michael Frankie walks out to his car. What if somebody had said something crazy, and saved Michael Frankie's life? I would rather appear fantastical and perhaps prevent something than to sit here and do nothing. And that's it. That's my contract with the universe. That's between me and God. And if God thinks that it's okay to keep punishing me, then so be it. So be it.
And in talking about safety and your worries about safety, something.
Poor Greta. Like, how do you what do you say to that? I mean, obviously, if you're me, you say what I said, that it's just absolute poppycock and this is ridiculous and, nobody believes this crap. But if you're Greta and you have to be professional, I guess you just move on.
Said earlier in the hearing kind of struck me, and you've asked this question. I guess you've posed it maybe to the universe, like you've said, why were my children so important that someone had to shoot them? So obviously, one of your children was killed, and two are seriously wounded but lived. So, and there have been again to my knowledge, no further attempts on those children. So I guess you're worried about them, you're concerned about them. Do you not think your children have been well taken care of and are currently safe? Do you still worry for their safety?
I think they're well
given
taken
the person
care of.
that's out there.
Yeah. I think they're well taken care of. Do I think they're safe? I want to believe they're safe. I hope they're safe. I think I will always fear for their safety because I don't know what happened. I don't know why it happened. And so I don't know why my grandparents were killed. I don't know why my Uncle David was killed. So there will always be a part of me that fears for them. I think the only way, I don't know. I don't know who's living next door to them. I fear for them. Going back to counseling, I could probably do with some counseling. Is it an unwarranted fear? Already they've been shot.
Yeah,
I'm sure that Fred and Joanne Hughey fear.
Yeah, they were shot by you. And the only thing that Fred and Joanne Huey fear is you getting out.
For them. I think they worry about them. I think Christie probably worries about her children. And this goes back to what? I'm not supposed to worry about my children because, what, I'm Diane Downs? Same thing as on the prison yard. I'm not allowed to worry about them. I'm not allowed to talk about them. I'm not supposed to cry about them. That's what it feels like. Yes, I will always worry about them.
All parents worry about their children.
One last question.
All parents worry about their children. Your worries, though, are ridiculous and unfounded because your worry is that the man who shot your children is still out there somewhere. There is no man that shot your children. The person who shot your children is you. So that's why people struggle with you. Shut up. This is ridiculous.
So you are an individual who, as far back as these records go that we can read, you have been surrounded by drama and perceived intrigue, from mysteries surrounding your birth to the FBI files on you to the attack on your children to Michael Hart, who in your words, has been stalking you nonstop since 1987, to receiving mysterious mail from a man in Wales, leaving you to question the attachment within your own family. Again, just like we talked about, to your perceived threat of harm to previous parole board members and family members. It goes on and on. And so my question is, why do you think you're surrounded by all of this? What is it about your personality do you think that attracts all of these threads of mystery and drama?
I don't know. That's why I asked the FBI. That's why I wrote to FOIPA, the Freedom of Information Act.
It's FOIA.
I don't know the
FOIA.
answer.
There's no P in there. What are you talking about?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bailey.
Ms. Downs, we've covered a lot of ground on the psychological evaluation, and most of the
Lil D says, do we even have any idea what motive could have been for her to do that, to shoot her children? Well, the DA put forward their theory of motive, which was that Diane was obsessed. I'm not going to say in love, because love to me isn't selfish, and Diane is incredibly selfish. And so, but she was obsessed with this man named Robert Knickerbocker, who went by Nick, and he was married, and she was having an affair with him. The way that she talks about their time together is very fantastical. I don't think that it was in the realm of reality. I don't think he was in love with her. I don't think he told her he was in love with her. But I think she was obsessed with him. And so the DA put forward, he didn't want children. And so the DA thought that it was her obsession with Robert Knickerbocker and the fact that he didn't want her to have children, or he didn't want to be with anybody that had children, that caused her to do this. Do I think that that's possible? Well, yeah, I'm sure that's part of it. But I think that she's very I think all human beings are multifaceted and they're layered, and I don't think that the motive is always like that cut and dry. I also think that she has a lot of disdain for her ex-husband, Stephen Downs, who is the father of her 2 girls. Danny had a different father, but has his last name. Anyway, I think that part of it too was a little revenge on him at him as well. Yeah, yeah, she's messed up. I mean, like, at every time after I end these lives, I always put in the link to Diane Downs TV's channel, because there's a lot of really, really good archival stuff on that channel. There are the phone calls between Diane and Robert Knickerbocker that he recorded that are very, very telling. And I encourage you guys, to go and listen. Hey, ATS, I didn't see you in here. Have you been in here a while? I feel awful if you have, because I didn't say hi. I'm sorry. Yes. KD says, plus she gets to be a victim. Narcs love being a victim. See, that's the other thing. I think that, yes, she was obsessed with Robert Knickerbocker. And I think she did think if she didn't have children that they could be together. But I also think there was an element of, if she had this great tragedy and her children were taken from her, that the tragedy would bring them closer. She's just, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. See how rude I am? I don't even know why I have friends. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Amber. I really am. I'm glad to see you. Thank you for being here, babe. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of you guys for being here. All right, now we're going to get into a little bit more of the evaluations, and then we're going to call it a night. There's like 10 minutes left of this, 9 minutes left.
questions that I had have been asked already by the other panel members, but I have one question for you, and it kind of goes to kind of my inability to kind of connect to the things that you've connected.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
Like, I've read every letter that you submitted.
Mr. Bailey, we're all having trouble connecting them dots, okay? So you're not alone.
For the packet, I read your response to the psychological evaluation, and as we've been discussing, there's a lot of names, there's a lot of dates, there's a lot of people that you've associated them with other people, and you've made these connections. But it's confusing to me sometimes in trying to understand how you got to making those connections. So I'm going to use an example, and I'm going to kind of read to it from your letter. And this is example I'm just using in order to kind of, I don't want to ask you about it, because I just want to try and understand kind of how you've reached the conclusion you reached, because I think it would help me try to put some of the pieces together. So you wrote the FBI, and this is in your letter that you say your request, this is what it reads, I'm going to read it, quote it directly as written. My request was narrow in scope and to the point. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover file, 1955 birth certificate and footprint of Elizabeth Diane Fredrickson, 1964 encyclopedia entry. That's it. That's all I asked, and the FBI's response was the identified potential responsive information.
Cuffy says, I've listened to and watched everything on there. Wasn't there a second channel about her you mentioned as well? Not that I can remember. That's the channel that I've been that I've gone to for all the things. So if there is a second channel, I'm sure there are other channels, but this is the channel that I know for sure.
To my request. Responsive to my request says they found a 1955 file with my name and FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover's name on it. In the paragraph before this, you wrote a quote, and I think this is what they sent you. This is, quote, the FBI's FOIPA program has identified potential responsive information to your request and awaits assignment to a government information specialist, GIS, for further processing. So when I read that, that does not say we have found the file that you are referencing. It's actually a pretty, to me, it sounds like a very vague response. That doesn't really say we have exactly what you asked for. It's more like we have.
Exactly. We have a file that has a name matching what you're saying, what you're requesting. That doesn't mean it's you idiot, Diane.
Found this potential responsive information. So how did you connect in your brain that that's proof that they have exactly what you thought they had? Are you following?
I do. If I was an analyst and I received a letter that says, I would like to know if there is a 1955 file on Elizabeth Diane Fredrickson, and that's all I got, and I looked through the files and there was nothing there, I would say 404, file not found. So for them to say,
do you know how many Elizabeth Diane Fredricksons there might be with in the world that the FBI might have a file on, you idiot? It doesn't mean that it's you.
We have potential information means they got something. And all I asked about was 1955 newborn baby. That's it. That's all I asked about. And they said, we have potential information. So it reasons with me that they found a file from 1955 with my name on it. I don't know what that file says. I'm not extending, not saying that this means that I was Joseph Bonanno's love child. I'm not saying any of that. I'm saying they seem to have found a file with my name on it in 1955. And I want to know why. Because if there is a file, 1955, with my name on it, and these crazy people have that file, and they know more about it than I do, what are they using? Why do I matter? Why do I matter? I clearly don't matter. I was just born, so clearly my parents are the ones that matter. So who are my parents?
Oh my God.
Why do I even matter to these people? I'm nobody. I was a mail carrier. I was a mom. I was a divorcee. I was nobody. And for 37 years, they have preyed on me. For what, $10,000? I don't think so. That doesn't even make sense.
Well, I guess here's my question back, because again, I'm just trying to see if I can understand kind of the way you connect information, because again, that response to me is very vague. So
you're not going to get through to her, okay, Mr. Bailey? I'm just going to give you a spoiler alert. Having this conversation with somebody who has the circular logic that Diane Downs possesses inside her gourd is a futile. It's like trying to teach a pig to dance. It's a futile effort, and the pig gets pissed. And little D, thank you for being a member for 2 months. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I appreciate the support. Thank you.
To me, that could be here's a vague response because we do have some information on you from some period of time.
Right.
But we're going to have someone look at it to see if it can be released, which to me could also be information from your murder, could be information from your escape.
Yep.
You might have an FBI file out there, but it could be for completely unrelated reasons to 1955 and J. Edgar Hoover. So to me, that's a very vague statement. I mean, do you think that it's? I guess that's my point. Do you see that there's other things that could be?
No.
I did consider that.
Okay.
And that's why when I made the request, I was very specific about 1955, Elizabeth Diane Fredrickson. That's it. And J. Edgar Hoover.
That's
Very
not specific.
Now, if I misunderstood and they're talking about my escape, my conviction, my SID number 6546106, then maybe that's it. But then why does it take them 2 years and they still don't have an answer? I mean, they still haven't assigned an agent in 2 years? I sent that request in 2016 and in 2018 and in 2020, they still haven't assigned an agent to even look at it? And if you did, then clearly I don't know. Why wouldn't you want to talk about it? Oh yeah, we know who you are. You're Elizabeth Diane Downs. You didn't trick us by using the name Fredrickson. Something, I don't know. And maybe I'm wrong.
You are
maybe
wrong.
My fear I'll take you guys out of the fear factor, but maybe my fear for my family has heightened my sense of awareness and my willingness to examine every piece of evidence. Maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe there's nothing there. But why not just tell me? Either there's nothing there, or yes, we have a file on a murder case and escape, and been pretty quiet since then. Why not just say that? How many agents does it take? 2 years to say that?
Where would the agents say this to you, ma'am? Where would they say this to you? They can't call you. You're friggin' locked up, which is probably why they didn't get back to you. You idiot.
Well, I of course don't have an answer for you on that. I just wanted to ask the question, if you had thought about the myriad of different possibilities. So thank you. I don't have any other questions on the psychological report. Cheryl?
Thank you. Ms. Downs, we will proceed to talk about any potential parole plans that you might have going into the future. But before we do that, and before we let the other participants make a statement, let's take one more break.
All right. So what we'll do tomorrow, hold on a second. Let me look at this. What we'll do tomorrow night is go over, why did it do that? Yeah, we'll go over the third part, and then that'll be Thursday. So Friday night, be ready, because we're going over the 2025 parole hearing. We're probably going to have to do it in several parts. It's like 4 hours long. Okay. All right. So that's the plan. And then Sunday night, how does Sunday night grab y'all for a members only live? How do you guys feel about that? Let me know. We'll do a members only live. I'm not sure what we'll talk about. Maybe we'll just kick it. I don't know. Usually I like to have something planned for a members only live, so I'll be thinking about it between now and Sunday. Yeah, that's what we'll do. All right, you guys. Nate, I hope you feel better, babe. I know that a shattered heel has got to be painful, and I'm sorry that you're not getting any relief from your doctor. You want me to write them a letter? I'll do it. Be very strongly worded. I can put it in all caps, bold font, underlined. I can if you want me to. You just let me know. You just say the word neat. All right, you guys, I'm going to let you go for tonight, but I want to thank everybody for being here. I appreciate it very, very much. If you haven't done so already, if you could just do me a favor and give your girl a thumbs up, I would greatly appreciate it. And I'll see y'all tomorrow night. Same bat time, same bat channel. All right. You guys have a great rest of your night, and I'll talk to you then. Bye.